Democrats tonight are seizing on newly unredacted documents about what's at the heart of the president's impeachment, that freeze on military aid to Ukraine. Emails viewed by NYU Law School blog Just Security show tensions between a Pentagon staffer and the Office of Management and Budget over the freeze. The documents, according to the report, contain an email from a top OMB official ultimately citing the president, saying there was a clear direction from him to continue to hold. While NBC News has not been able to verify the emails, the administration is not challenging their authenticity, and an OMB spokesperson tells us the key players were on the same page about the aid freeze. But Senator Chuck Schumer is today arguing the new evidence justifies why senators should hear from top Trump administration officials in a Senate impeachment trial. It's not clear if that'll happen. Then again, nothing is clear about what a trial would look like or when it would begin, with both sides stuck in a stalemate over the process. Democrats want witnesses to testify. Republicans want to wait to decide on that until after the trial starts.
I am open to witnesses. I think it's premature to decide who should be called until we see the evidence that is presented.
The impeachment trial start date probably won't get set until at least next week when lawmakers and the president get back to Washington.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.